All right, we're here. We're back. I'm
Yo,
awake.
hey, hey! I think this is 2 weeks in a row that we've done the show,
It's 2 weeks in a row. Yes.
which is really impressive because it's pretty tough to get. Man, it's been a rough month so far, and it's the 8th or ninth. I don't know what day it is. 10th.
10th.
Yeah,
Today's
it's
the
the
10th.
10th. I don't know.
Been a long
It's
way
it's been a rough month so far. We've had standardized testing all week, and track meets and track practice and kids, and I also have started my second job of teaching driver's ed, and it has been a
Has that been a little stressful?
it's the struggle is real. The struggle is real. Um, so I kind of wanted to. Sorry, I hate to do this while we're filming. Um, hold on, hold on. Sorry, my son just sent me a text. Says, "Where are my Crocs?" On your car, where they were yesterday.
On, not in.
Yeah, I guess he thought I was gonna get them. Anyway. Anyway, um, so I texted you earlier this week um, about what I wanted to talk about today, and I'll kind of go through for our viewers the weird confluence of events that kind of happened. Um, so the kids are finally chilling. The wife was doing schoolwork, or she was at class, or something like that. I guess this was, I don't know what day it was, but whatever. So she was at class, and it was just me at the house, and I'm picking up the house. They're finally, the kids are finally settled down, and I'm just kind of picking up. And the house is kind of a wreck. I'll be honest with you, because 5 kids, and and I got this like kind of this weird, overwhelming feeling that you and I needed to talk about men's mental health, and and so like it's kind of weird, right? When you get feelings like that. So I do like a self check. I'm like, am I okay? Like, is everything okay with me? Like, why do I feel the need to talk about this? And then, so I texted you, and so I was like, which is kind of a check, just so we're clear. It's just kind of a check in, like, hey, man, this is what I want to talk about. I don't know if you're dealing with it because I got this feeling like we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And so you're like, well, let's talk about it. But you didn't say anything, so I just kind of let it, like where you weren't like, yeah, man, I really need to talk about that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's move on with that. So of course I check in with my older sons. I'm like, hey, I love you. I'm proud of you. Everything going okay? If it's not, talk to me or your
Or
mom or
someone.
somebody. And then later on, so this is kind of interesting.
So everybody you had texted at this point was just like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. So, which of course is the problem with men's mental health, because that's what we do, right? We just say that we're okay whether or not we are.
I'm dealing
But
with it.
so then I'm scrolling through TikTok like the young man that I am, right? Because I'm I'm cool and hip, right? And one of these songs, or like one of those TikToks where they're like, when someone comes to the studio and they don't sound like how you think they're gonna sound. And this guy comes in, he's like a rapper or whatever, and he starts singing this song. So I was like, man, that's a hit. So I went to YouTube and I listened to it, and it's about alcohol, and it's about like, needing to quit drinking or whatever. But the lyrics like caught me, because I was like, hold on. So in order to avoid TOS, or whatever the thing is, copyright, I'm gonna read these to you real fast, and what caught my attention. It says, Because I've been chasing the man that I am when I start to drink. He's cocky and confident, and he doesn't give a damn what you think. The world is beating me down, and it's pushed me right to the brink. I take a shot every time because it helps me escape. I'm taking care of these people, but no one takes care of me. I want to talk to somebody, but I feel no one relates. I need better now. I think I've lost my way. I'm having battles with faith. It's painted right on my face. And so I was like, man, because it's about drinking, right? So it kind of fell in line with what, where my brain was this evening.
Who sang that song? Who sings that?
His name is Dax, Dax. And the name of the song is Dear Alcohol. And it really is good. It's a good song. Like, it's like, you ought to check it out. It's really good. I enjoyed it. And so I sent that over to my wife, and I was like, man, check this song out. Like, and then I kind of told her everything because she had just got back. Yeah, it's got like 5 million hits, but he's like a fast rapper. Like he's like like the song didn't really fit with who he is, which is kind of interesting. But apparently he tackles some of those deeper issues. With apparently he's gonna write a song about abuse next, and I don't know. Anyway, so I started looking some things up regarding men's mental health, and specifically men because we're dudes, right? And so I don't know which one of our 5 viewers is dealing with it, but because again, it's just kind of one of those things where I felt the need to talk about it. Nearly so it's like 1 in 10 men experience depression and anxiety. 6 out of every 10 men have some form of trauma in their lives, whether it's physical violence, accidents, combat, disaster, witness to death or injury, kind of some of that stuff. Men are 3.5 times more likely to die by suicide. Men are 3 times more likely to do hard drugs and end up in the hospital than women. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's like half of men feel more depressed than they're willing to admit. And so one of the things that I when I started thinking about this weekend, was like, the type of nerd books that I've been reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's progression lit or fantasy or whatever. One of the main themes in those books has been, is like you have to overcome certain things in order to progress. And, iron sharpens iron, hottest steel is forged in the hottest fires, that type of stuff, right? And so, and it's just like when something tries to overtake your mind, you have to have unyielding willpower, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's fun for a book, right? But it also got me to thinking, like, that's one of the things I think men struggle with is getting bogged down. And I know me in particular, getting bogged down with all the shit that we have to do, and all the responsibilities that we have, and just plugging forward and keep moving. When it could be easier to give up, right? And so, I guess that's kind of one of the themes is like, yeah, you have all of these things, and you have all of these responsibilities, and you have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you just gotta bear it and move on. because that's what the world expects of you. So, I don't know. You got thoughts? I'm kind of done with my monologue.
I mean, there's something else. I mean, you know, you were rattling off some statistics, and I looked some up before we got started here. It was like one in five suffer from alcoholism.
Yeah.
You know, I, as you know, I got in trouble, and it's not one of my better parts of my past, but I was in jail for drunk driving and as part of that whole ordeal, I had so many hours of community service and cost about $10,000 when it was all said and done. It was a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
I don't know, like 300 or 400 hours of community service. I had to go to like a year of probation. Part of that probation was like you had to go to some AA or equivalent thing, right, for that whole year.
Yeah.
And I had never before witnessed so many broken men in my life.
Wow.
And that was like going to the AA meetings was one of the most depressing things I'd ever experienced in my life.
I remember you really hating it.
Yeah. like we would go and we would sit in this room and, you know, I think I had somebody at that point call me. It was like, well, you're a functional alcoholic, so you don't have the same things with these, right, because you had the ability to turn it off during the week and then go binge on the weekends or whatever. And I was like, right, yeah, I've been doing that since college, of course. Like that's what we did in college, and now I'm an adult. And, like,
still
doing it. Like, and but I mean, these are the guys who like lost their jobs and families. Hello. I can hear you.
Sorry, you froze on me.
All right.
I didn't catch what she said.
No, I was gonna say. So like I had been to this stuff and I'd seen many people just repeat over and over again, because it's this. I live still in a pretty small town, and there's like one or two AA groups here for the whole area, and so it's always the same crowd, and you see the same people give the same stories. And I just went for a year. There are people who've been doing this for like 20 years, and right, maybe for them it makes them feel better, but for me it was depressing. Because it's like, here are the examples of either people who couldn't keep it together well enough to maintain their jobs, or became so dependent on alcohol that they literally lost everything. They could not manage a balance of any kind.
Yeah.
And I think for men, and maybe this is just my opinion, I'm no professional or anything, but like there has to be a balance.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, just like a little bit of stress is okay. A little bit of anxiety is okay. It's what keeps us driving. It's what drives us. It gives us ambition and lets us move forward and know that, hey, these things are important. Mm-hmm. Okay. But if you can't balance that with a little bit of leisure and a little bit of family time or a little bit of relaxation, whatever it is you need to do to relax, right? Then you'll get out of balance, and then you'll have one part of your life that'll completely take over, whether that's the work, which will drive your stress and anxiety and depression, or your leisure time, which will drive depression, apathy, and everything else that comes with, you know, heavy drug use, if that's your thing.
Right.
And that's just been my experience, right? It's like people who could not make priorities in their life for what was truly important. And so for the guys that I was seeing, and it was mostly guys, there were a few women in there, but it was mostly men. It was like 10-1. these were individuals who had lost perspective during the course of their quote unquote fall, you know, in what was important, and could not give up. You know, could not, would not, did not, whatever you want to say. And I think that's the part where you're getting at, is that, like, we don't ask for help until it's until it's the end, right?
Until it's falling apart,
right.
Literally.
And it's already falling apart,
Yeah.
and all you can do is try and pick up the pieces of your life, right?
Right. Well, and I, you know, it's kind of interesting because there are things that I've seen. You know, I'm around a lot of people, and you know, I'm in a male-dominated business or male-dominated field within a female-dominated field.
Right.
So it's even worse, just so we're all clear. Like, because it's a female-dominated field, but my particular genre is male-dominated, so we're extra manly, I guess.
Yeah, well, you feel like you have to be to offset all the feminization from the other teachers to your students, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, so you have to be extra manly to give that male role model.
And so I look around sometimes and I worry about, like, some of those guys that I work with, like, you know, because I know all the stresses that I deal with, and I know all of the things that go on, and some of the struggles that I deal with. And I know that some of these guys have the same issues. I know they do, because I'm pretty good at reading people, but nobody ever talks about it. Not one of us ever talk about it, and me included. You know, like, it's like, we're not gonna talk about that because that's personal, and I don't know you that well, and you know.
We're cool, but we ain't that cool.
I mean, yeah, right. And so, like, but I can see and I can read body language sometimes when people say certain things, and I can say, like, man, you're probably dealing with it. And even then, I don't pull them aside and say, hey, I feel like you might be dealing with some stuff. You know, if you need help, you need to talk to somebody, you know, holler at me. I don't, because then that could be perceived as weakness or whatever. So I don't do that.
Right.
And to me, it would feel weird that, like, I'm putting some kind of something on them, like, that maybe they don't want to talk about, you know. So I don't really know how to address that, and I think that's another issue. Is like I know that you can read warning signs, right? Mm-hmm. But how do we, when we see things like that, sometimes, but when we see things like that, how do we as men address those with other men? You know what I mean? Like I think that's part of the issue, is, like, we don't know how to say, hey, man, it seems like you might be dealing with some stuff, you know, like, you want to go have a drink, or you want to go, you know, you want to go talk about it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, even me bringing this up, I don't know how to address that with another dude. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I think that's something that we should work on. I think that's something that we should be okay with, and it's something I need to work on in particular, where it's like, when I see things like that, like, I need to be able to, you know, give a man a hug if they need it. You know what I mean? Like I've got no problems with one of my students, if they're dealing with some shit, to be like, hey, come here, you know, and just and be in that ear and be in that guy. But when it's a grown man, I'm not gonna fucking do that.
Well, why not? Are you worried he's gonna be like, whatever, dude,
man,
screw you, like, I'm fine.
Don't touch me, slur. I don't know. That's what I'm saying, though. That's one of those societal norms where it's like, we don't talk about that shit. And again,
hold on a sec. This is the same guys that run around slapping each other on the ass saying good game.
Yeah.
And you're worried about giving this guy a hug.
That's slapping the ass is funny. Slapping the ass is funny. giving the hug is serious. See, there's two different things.
Two different things.
Nobody slaps ass anymore. By the
What?
way, no, they don't really do that unless you're being really funny, in which case, like, you're doing it as hard as you can.
As hard as you possibly can. Yeah.
But nobody really does that anymore, because lawsuits and shit.
Well,
Anyway,
so I mean, going back to what you're saying, I think, I don't know, expressing an interest in someone and like what you're seeing, because it's like you said, it's not always that hard to see when somebody's going through something, right?
Yeah.
And the issue comes with, how do you address it? How do you show support without coming on too strong? Right.
Right.
Is that what you're
probably.
saying here?
That's probably it.
So,
because, like, okay, so even in like a couple, I guess a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I'm on Facebook, and there's a dude that I know from high school that is posting like teenage angsty shit. I don't know how to put it in a better way.
So like,
and I'm like
the weird song lyrics over like
the
crazy things, like, I cut the pieces of my wrist, cut my wrist with the pieces of my broken heart. Like,
yes, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this dude's going through it, right? Like, in my head. And so I messaged him, hey man, seems like you're going through it. What's up? I'm okay. I'm good. Like, just, I'm good. I just, I need some time, or I need, I'm good. Like, just downplaying it. And I think that's one of the bigger issues that we all have, is like, when because I reached out, because I didn't.
It's easy to do that online, and it's
right.
It's easy.
Yes, that's the other thing. It's easy to do online, and a person that I haven't seen in like 15 years.
Yeah, and you haven't seen him, you haven't talked to him in 15 years, and it's that same kind of deal. But it's like, if you're talking about the people that you're like working with on a routine basis, and I don't think it's awkward or terrible, because I don't know, I'm kind of like a goofball in my workplace, right? And so like,
broke
people
up again. I lost you.
I'm still here. I can sort of hear you. Let me know when you can hear me again.
I can hear you. Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
So I've kind of garnered this reputation at work as being kind of a goofball, and like, don't threaten me with a good time when people start saying you gotta understand, it's also a super male dominated workforce where I am, right?
Yeah.
So it's
the
the homoerotic things that come out, and I'm just like, don't threaten me with a good time. I'll take it way further than you will. It's like, I'm way more comfortable than anybody else here. And so like, it's, I don't know, like, we kind of make jokes about it, but it's like, dude, you want a hug? You need a hug? Yeah, come on, you need a hug. Like, and so there's like a few guys that we can mess around with, joke around with like that, but it's like, man, I'm a little stressed out. Come here, give me a hug, like, for real. Come here, bro. And we've just developed that sort of odd relationship as friends, right? It's a high stress environment, just like you guys, so it's not totally out of the norm for people to be like kind of freaking out, right?
I'll tell you in just a second. Go ahead.
So, if you're getting to the point where you're seeing somebody is seriously going through it, whatever it is, and you have the time, to just say like, hey, what's going on? You're not acting yourself, like, and just see if they'll tell you. And if it's oh, I'm not getting enough sleep, or oh man, baby mama drama, whatever it is, right?
Right.
It's not. It's as awkward as you're gonna make it, right?
Yeah.
And if you approach this from a point of seriousness, right? Hey, dude, what's going on? Something's not right. It's not a laughing matter. It's not a joke. I see that you're going through something, and I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You want to talk to me about it? Are you okay? Like, you know, we've just sent people home before who couldn't keep their shit together. Like, all right, get out of here. Like, you don't need to be here. We got a guy at work right now going through a divorce, and he, super cool guy. I thought they were happy. You know, it's one of those things like you never know what's going on in their home life.
Yeah.
And you know, they were having parties and whatever, inviting everybody and their dog to their Christmas party, and now they're getting a divorce.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I guess things weren't all hunky dory there. I was like, man, are you okay? And you know, it's he'll tell you, he's like, yeah, it's a little raw right now. It sucks. But
having been through divorce, I do know that it sucks.
Yeah.
Even if you hate that bitch,
yeah,
like, it still sucks. Like, it just does.
yeah.
Like,
So,
even if it, no.
I don't know if he was quite to the I hate this bitch point or not, or if this is something else going on. I don't know. But it's definitely a thing where I've been like, dude, you've been off. What's going on? And I didn't even know what was going on, but I've seen him like freaking out. He's been on the phone all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, who died? You know, like, what's going on? Are you okay?
Just,
like you seem upset about life in general.
It's a real struggle, man. It's a real struggle. It does suck. So I looked up some warning signs for our 3 viewers. So some of the things in order to kind of look for, I guess, or if you notice some things you probably need to check. Aggressiveness, anger, and irritability, like overly, obviously, not like normal aggressiveness, anger, and irritability.
That I always have with me at all times.
Right. Not the normal level, like the over. Changes in mood or energy levels, changes in appetite or sleeping habits, difficulty focusing, feeling restless on our edge, high consumption of alcohol, inappropriate use of drugs, participating in super risky activities, feeling sad, hopeless, numb, or emotionally flat, having aches, pains, or other physical symptoms without a clear cause, obsessive or compulsive thoughts or behaviors, thinking or acting in a way that causes concern to others as a negative impact to work, social, family life, or thinking about or attempting suicide. And then it says who's the most at risk? Guess who it is? Old white men. That's number one.
Are they the most at risk, or are
like,
they just the most likely to talk about it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because old black men don't talk about their feelings, from what I've seen.
No, they don't. That's true. They don't. No.
Neither do old Asian men.
No, they also don't. Hold on. Let me get through this, and then I'll I'll go through. Okay, so men who have experienced trauma. You know, we've got a real serious issue with our soldiers, which is mostly men, coming back with PTSD and severe mental health issues. You know, and I don't know if we've talked about it on the show, but we've talked about, you and I, where we really need to do more to take care of those guys, and be open about talking about their mental health in particular. But again, it's kind of anyone who has experienced that level of trauma. And men experience employment issues. There's a lot of societal pressure on men to provide, to be the breadwinner. And if they can't do that, or they're having difficulty finding a job, that can do a number on your mental health, because of those pressures and because of those expectations and what we've been brought up to believe. And if you don't have a job and you're not providing, even if you don't have a family, but if you don't have a job and you're not doing what, you know, you're what's expected of you, then that can severely affect your mental health. And so, especially if you know somebody like that, you really need to do a check on those guys. Next is divorce. People who've had marital breakdowns, that obviously that kind of goes. You would think that would go without saying, but obviously, those guys, having been through it, I know the struggle, and it is a tough time. And even when you're really upset, or even when the divorce is justified and whatever, it is difficult. It's difficult to not see your kids every single day. It's you know, even if you're the custodial parent, you still have to give them up on a weekend, and that's tough. It's tough to be away from your kids. Dues with financial concerns, obviously that goes with jobs, alcohol. Sometimes that gets out of hand, and obviously family history of mental illness. Yeah, that's kind of it. But so TikTok again, right? So I was going through it, and it had a reverse hypochondriac, and so it was like, I guess there's not a word for it, but the doctor's like, okay, he's like, what brings you in today? I'm fine. Well, why did you come? Well, my father made me come on account of my headaches. Oh, okay, what kind of headaches? Oh, debilitating. I can barely move headaches. How long have you had them? 5 years. Like, you've had serious debilitating headaches for 5 years, so this is the first time? He's like, yeah. He's like, and then he kind of goes in, he's like, well, I can't see out of my left eye. Like what? That's probably a tumor, but I'm fine. Fine. Like, and it just kind of goes into this whole thing. Is like, you know, and me, I'm the same way. Like, I have to be, and I've always been this way, and it used to drive our mom crazy, is I have to be in excruciating pain for me to say something. Like, it used to get to the point where I had earaches. I had real bad earaches when we were kids. And it would get to a point before I would say anything where I'm in tears, screaming in pain, where if I had just said something earlier, maybe it wouldn't be hurting this bad.
Maybe.
But it used to drive mom crazy, because I would just wait. And I just wouldn't say anything. I just keep moving. And I've kind of always been that way, where it's like, you know, I don't know any other way than to muscle through whatever my issues are. I don't you know, or even anytime I was in trouble financially, or anytime I was in trouble, like, with anything as an adult, you know, in my 20s, it would be like, I would have to have a plan before I would tell anybody. like I had to have like, I would be in this situation, and it'd be like, okay, here's my plan, here's what I need, you know, okay. Hey, Dad, here's what's going on. So I don't know. I don't know if it's probably not the right thing to do, but that's just kind of how I've always been. Like I said, even as a kid. And I don't know if that's a society thing, but it's more of just who I am. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I know that there's a real stigma talking about this kind of stuff, and talking about some of the things that we go through. But it is important, and it is important to check, and it's important to be able to have somebody to reach out to, you know? So that's really kind of...
I was just going to say, you're not alone about the doctor thing. I mean, I had the horn growing on my head for a while, and it wasn't until it was like itching every day, and I'm sitting there picking at it. My wife's like, go to the fucking doctor. What's wrong with you? Has anybody looked at that? Oh, no, I'm sure it's fine. It's just like this giant knot.
It's just a thing. It's a thing that exists on my head.
Yeah, it's just a thing that exists, and it's fine. Like, it's not hurting anybody. It's not hurting you.
Yeah,
So yes, I'm the
but
same way.
it's funny because like so with my like just with all my kids, I have Brazilian kids. It's always more important to me that like I probably need to go to a dentist. Just real talk. But
Yeah.
they also need to go to the dentist, and so it's more important for me to get them to the dentist and get all of those things taken care of for them first, because we have them like there's a max on our coverage, right? And
When's the last time you got a physical, like a full blown
I
physical?
was I was supposed to go last year because I turned 40, and I'm scared. I it's time for the and and I don't wanna. So I've been avoiding it. I'll admit.
But
Um,
before that,
before I got one at no 35. Yeah, so 5 years,
you're doing better than me.
5.5 years. But before that, like 18. Like,
It's like I think I'm sitting at 9 years right now, something like that.
no, yeah, before 35, like the last physical that I had was when I was playing sports in high school. So, because for what? But I think somebody said that you can go get a physical for free, but you should go have one. And I'm just getting older. I'm 35 now, about to have children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. More children. Or I just had kids. I don't know. I don't even know how old I am. Anyway,
Whatever this was.
whatever this was, I went and got a physical, and it had been 15 years. And they're like, well, you need to change this diet, and you need to do this, and I didn't. At 35, you don't have to have
No, I know. No, I'm just saying about right now.
no, I need to, but I don't want to. So I'm fine. I'm fine. And also, I don't need you fat shaming me, doctor. Like, I know that I'm overweight. I know that my cholesterol is high. I know all of these things. Shut up about it.
I feel like that's a big difference between men and women. Also,
Huh?
I feel like that's another big difference between men and women. It's like we know how to lose weight, we
Yeah.
just don't.
Man, I don't wanna.
I know it's a
Like,
lot of fucking work, man. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, God damn it, you need to do something. Then I'm like, I get home
yeah.
from work and I'm just like, oh, fuck. I get up in
Either
the
that
morning and
or
I'm like, fuck. I want to go work out.
for like. So it's funny because like 2 years. God, it's been 2 years. Jesus. So 2 years ago, I was on a pretty good regimen. Like I lost like 20 pounds. Um, like I was getting up at 5:30 every morning, and I was going and working out. I was doing really, really well, and I'd lost a lot of weight. And then Christmas vacation happened, and I had 2 weeks off. Um, and I had trained my little children to sleep in late, and so we all slept in. And since then,
And it was glorious.
I have not been able to get up to go work out, even though it was great and I felt better and I liked it and I enjoyed it. But I cannot get up in the morning. I'm just
That
I,
is,
I
and I think for men's mental health, and I'm gonna tie this in, right. So like feeling good about yourself for like what you're doing physically is a big part of that, and I feel like that's a big missed part in like mental health, mostly for men, but also for women, maybe to some smaller extent. Um, like because, and this ties into something else, like testosterone values go up when you're working out, and they make you feel better.
oh, I did see that that hold on, I just saw this.
And low testosterone is one of the leading causes
It says
of
low testosterone levels are correlated with depression, stress, and mood swings. But
of
they got a pill for
poor
that.
mental health.
They got a pill for that.
Yeah, but you can do it. You can do it without pills. You can just go work
Yeah.
out, and it'll raise your testosterone levels.
But you gotta actually do that.
Get up and go, and that's what we're saying is the struggle, right? So it's like
Yeah.
90% of the struggle for me is getting my ass up and out of the house to go work out, right? Once I'm there, perfect.
Right.
I'm solid, right? I can go for an hour or two. I'll come back and not be able to walk for the next 3 days. But I gotta get out the fucking door, and that's the biggest challenge for everyone.
Yeah. Well, and the other struggle is, one of the things I struggled with when I started working out again as an adult was I don't recover like I did when I was 18, 19, 20.
Right.
Um,
You go and spend 3 hours at the gym, you're gonna know for a week.
and and so I only knew because I've only played sports. I've played sports for a long time, and I knew, I know how to work out, and I've done all that stuff, right? One of the things I struggled with was I didn't know how to not kill myself. Like, I didn't know how to not just get in there and just burn out till I'm done and rip everything apart, and then, like you said, be done for 3 weeks, right? So that was actually something I had to learn, because then that kept me out of the gym, because I'm like, fuck, it still hurts. I can't get in there.
Press the bar.
Can't. I'm in pain. Like, also, glutamine is a great supplement for when that happens for older people.
I went and found some. I'm good.
Yeah,
That was a good.
so
tip.
yeah, no, that was I think my wife told me about that. She was like, "Yeah, go get that." I was like, "Okay," and I swear to you, it was
I'll do anything
because I couldn't walk, and I was like, She's like, "Go get this," and so I went and bought some, and I'm telling you, it was like by lunchtime that day, because I took some in the morning. By lunchtime, I was fine. I was like, "Holy miracle! This is a miracle." I'm fine.
So yeah.
Anyway, we can move on with our next topic if you want, or unless you have anything to add.
No, I was just gonna say, like,
You close that out.
Close it out with talking to your friends and your coworkers, your buddies, is only as awkward as you're gonna make it, right? And sometimes you gotta have an awkward conversation. I mean, you and I both had friends that ultimately committed suicide.
Yep.
And whether it was, signs were there or not, when people are really in pain, and this has just been my experience, when people are truly in pain and you're offering them a hand, they're not going to slap you away. And maybe they're not there yet, but just knowing that someone's out there and they care about them, and hey, I see that you're going through something, and I want you to know I'm here for you, whatever it is. All right, man, take it easy, and that may be it, right? Whatever you need, let me know. But we got things to do, and afterwards we can go grab a beer, whatever that is, I've definitely, like, I know, like, when my friend Chris was going through his divorce, right? This was a guy who'd been married for 30-something years, and his wife just, like, fucking skipped town. Just like, yeah, we're going to take a break. Just decided on her own, packed up her shit, went back to Massachusetts.
Wow.
Like I said, I knew he was going through it. I knew there were troubles. And it was just like, hey, man, after class, let's go grab a beer. And he's like, yes. And I didn't even say, like, hey, I see you're going through anything. I just said, hey, let's go get a beer. And that was it. And once we were there, man, it all came out. And, because that was on his mind. That was what he wanted to talk about, and so sometimes all you got to do is just give him the right opportunity, and a place they can feel supported. So
that's a good point. You don't have to be overly aggressive. You can just be there.
Yeah.
And like you said, just say, hey, let's go get a beer. Let's go get lunch. Let's go. You and me.
Come on, we're going right now. Let's go. On me.
Yeah.
We're going.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. That's probably a good spot to end this segment.
All right.
And let's clip this now.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this episode of BroPartisan Hacks with Rhys and Rob. We really, really appreciate you watching, tuning in. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to us. We're putting out content as often as we can. Share it with your friends. Get it out there. Get our names out there. Also, hit that bell, tap that bell right there so that you can get updated when we put out a new video. Rob and I are trying to pump these videos out as often as we can. However, we both have day jobs, we have families, so our schedules have to line up so that we can make a new video. Speaking of our day jobs, our opinions and views expressed are our own and in no way represent those of our respective employers. Thank you. Thanks again for watching.